Alright, so let's dive in. So this is based off of a previous tutorial I did on Streamlit and UV. You'll see the link down below for that tutorial. But basically the idea is to share with you on how I build a micro SaaS. I plan to do it a little differently than what I've seen elsewhere. I want to create packages because there's certain functionalities that I want to ensure are separated from each other, and plus it'll be easier to manage. So I want to make sure, one, I'm in the right directory before I activate my virtual environment. So now that we have the virtual environment activated, the next thing I want to make sure I do is to check my Git status, make sure there's nothing I need to commit, and then I also want to create a branch. So I'm going to do that in one line. I'm going to create the branch as well as check it out. And I think the hardest thing is trying to determine what to name your branch. So I typically name my branches on the functionality that I want to code for, so that I stay very focused and also be on task. So in this case, I'm going to create some directories, basically the packages for encapsulating the different functionalities that I plan to add to this project. So here I want to make a source directory. This is where I will be saving my package directories. And so I want to make sure that I go into the source directory because I'm going to actually create another directory that's going to be named after my project. So we go ahead and change directory. And go into the source directory, and I'm going to hit list, but I already know there's nothing in it, but I just want to prove to you there's nothing in it. And then I'm going to make another directory that's going to be named after my project. So in this case, my project is named Pinkfi. I was going to put app, but I changed my mind, just name it Pinkfi, but you can name your project anything you want. And so now I'm going to do list again to prove that I did create the directory in the source directory. So one of the reasons why I want to create this is mainly because I want to be able to separate certain aspects of functionality in my project. So I want to go ahead and build the system so that I can deploy it to a server, or in this case I plan to deploy to render. And this will help me better manage my project. So one way of doing this is to specify how I want the setup to be in my pyproject.toml file. So we just go ahead and specify the build system. So I want it to use Setuptools to build it out. And then I also want to make sure that I specify the build backend. And then I also have to tell it where to find my packages and where my packages will be stored is in the source directory that I created earlier. And I want it to include packages whose names start with Pinkfi. Then I also want to configure the UV tool and make sure that it marks Pinkfi as a workspace source. This is for dependency management. Then I'm going to run a command, uv add editable dev, and my name of the project is Pinkfi. And what this is going to do is it's going to configure the UV tool and it will mark PyPI as a workspace source, and this is for managing my dependencies. And then the dependency group will be named dev, which includes my package, and this is very useful for managing all my development dependencies separately. And then we're going to see if we run uv pip list, my new group should be in there that I created, and there it is, PyPI. Alright, let's go ahead and take a look at our source directory. So let's go ahead and create a test package inside of source. But I have to go into my PyPI directory first in order to create the package. And then I need to go ahead and just create a new file. So let's go ahead and create just a very simple function. I'm just going to import the math library, and this is going to be a function that calculates the sum or the square of sums. And I'll go ahead and speed through this part here. And now let's go ahead and go into our main py file and add our new package in so that we can test it. One way we can tell that the function actually works and that the package actually works is when we do the dot notation. We will see our square of sum function, and then removing the plus sign, we will also see its parameters appear as well. So that's one test that we know that the function is actually working. Now let's go ahead and run this. And so now let's go ahead and test the application, make sure that when we put in our two values, it no longer does addition, but does the square of sums instead, which it does. And then finally, we are going to go ahead and commit this branch. So we're going to go ahead and do git status, git add our commit statement. If you want to continue following this journey of building a micro SaaS, please hit the subscribe button and make sure to ding the bell so that you get the notification. If you want to, I also have a newsletter, so you can sign up for that. The info is down in the description box below. Alright, until next time, friends.